We have a quorum.
We have a
We
quorum.
do.
So those who show up get to make the decisions, as the old saying goes. So as Nikki said, can we put this out in a half an hour, 45 minutes?
No, I'm good.
Anyway,
If I could be here, anybody could. And
So-
people be late.
so this is our next to the last meeting. We have a meeting in August, which is designed to respond to whatever we hear over the summer from public comment to the work that we've done. And I'm blown away by the quality of the work that this group has done. When I think about the meetings we had in this room 4 years ago, and some of the tensions that existed among the group. And for the most part, the way that we have operated as a team, it's been pretty amazing. And I was thinking this morning about the perspectives that everybody who's around this table has brought, right? And how valuable those have been. And Carla talks to us about what's going on in Edgewater and the issues as a parent and protecting kids in the neighborhood, and you do the same for us in Deal and Churchton. You bring a real estate perspective that's very valuable to our thinking. You keep us honest about growth as well as the Mayo Peninsula and what's happening there. VK and Gerardo, who's not here yet, we hope, kept us aware of agriculture and the implications of that. Nikki kept us remembering that the rest of the county doesn't look like we do, and that we need to reach out to make sure we have more diverse perspectives in our thinking. All of that has added, I think, to the richness of the work that we've done. So today we have two key areas. After we approve, and Richard brings to us the perspective of the southest part, the deepest south part of South County.
The south.
The south. And the challenges that you face with the environmental shifts that are going on. And the one road in and one road out that all of us have in various levels, but probably nobody quite as bad as you guys do. So tonight we need to talk about the vision and we need to talk about the strategies. Before I set that up, there are two housekeeping pieces. One is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. And I get them. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
None.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I motion to
Carla?
approve the minutes.
Second, Richard, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm staying, I wasn't there.
Well, we'll tell you about it.
Did you read the minutes? Yeah, they told you about it.
So the second is the approval of the agenda. And I want to take the chair's prerogative and shift the agenda around. I think it's important for us to talk about the vision before we talk about the strategies. And I don't really want to go into all the rationale because that's really the tee up for the vision discussion. But suffice it to say, I think we need to be clear about where we're going before we agree on how we're going to get there. So that's the flip between the vision and the mission. Any opposition to changing the agenda? Great, thank you.
Do you need a motion to approve the agenda?
I don't know. Do I need a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the
Thank you,
modified
Carla.
agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, if I may interrupt, staff has a couple of minor tweaks from the April 20th meeting. We've realized that we're in error. If we can bring that up for the group to just kind of
Okay.
look at. And when I say minor, this is what I mean. For example, we were talking about the land use in North Beach. We forgot to add the word split for conservation and land use. Doesn't change the recommendation. It's just
So you're just cleaning.
clean.
Clean up.
All these are essentially clean and clerical errors. So that's example of one. Another one is in our map, we actually had these numbers flipped. So this is now going to be 3, this is going to be 2. Again, it doesn't change the recommendation, anything of that nature. And then, so this one, it looks bad, but it's really not. What we did here, and I'll take blame, it's fine. I accidentally copied the low, medium density residential and added conservation. It should have just been conservation. So that was my mistake, and same thing with the zoning. And this all is reflected on those, on the video.
I see another one from Keaton Point and Owings Beach Road.
Yes,
Oh, instead of owning. So
Yes.
it should be owing speed.
so, thank you.
Sorry, I only know because I live there.
Important.
Good eyes.
Good
eyes.
Yeah, I can't see.
I
it.
like
I'm right
it.
here. I can't see. it.
I know.
I'm just nodding along.
Very good odds. Maybe you should.
I used to work, I sat the correct day weekly every week.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was a team effort. Everybody had to help, so we didn't have like any mistakes.
And then just
Buddy of mine.
two more quick ones again, add the word split, added the conservation as it's stated here, but not here. And then, it was low density residential, it should have been parks and open space as stated here. And then finally, the last one, I believe, yes, is just, it was labeled as parks and open space, but it should have been conservation.
Yeah.
So that's it. If you guys need time to review it or whatever, that's perfectly understandable. But if you guys are okay with that,
It's cleanup.
yeah, it's clean.
Good.
Do we need to make a motion to approve these modifications?
Yes, technically.
I just,
I love a parliamentary.
I know, I'm sorry.
I love it.
I could bring my book, but I don't want to.
Wait, where's the gavel?
Yeah.
Hurry.
I motion to approve the
As amended.
changes. What document?
April 20th.
The minutes as amended.
The minutes, because we already accepted the minutes.
Correct.
Oh, well, I make a motion to accept the modified minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much.
Perfect. That's it from us.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. So a little bit of tee up for what we're about to do. It is a little deja vu for me to be in this room talking about vision. Because the most contentious meeting we had in the 2040 plan was a discussion of vision in this space. So I'm hoping the ghost of visions past is not going to be a revisitation. When we talked about the vision before, we had some significant differences about what a vision should be and how it should be written. Billy, who is not joining us tonight, didn't like the tone, wanted a different, more inspirational feel for the language of the vision statement. Nikki was reverting back to the kind of good to great approach where the vision should be short and succinct and inspiring and clear, cure cancer in our lifetimes kind of vision statement. And I'm going to suggest that we focus on neither. That what we are focused on when we describe, we have a vision for the county. You'll pull that up. That's the county's vision. The best place for all. It's inspirational, it's clear, it's easily understood. Our task is not to reinvent that. Our task is to describe what that vision looks like for Region 9 over the next 10 to 20 years. If we are successful, if all the work that we have done in terms of creating strategies, creating a sense of where we want to go is right, what will it look like? And I don't care if it's written in past tense, future tense, present tense. What I care about is the content. What I care about is the elements that describe what success will look like for us as a region within the county. So the challenge, I believe, is to describe that future in a way that anybody can relate to. Most people aren't going to read it, quite honestly.
Unless you put it on sign.
Well, it's going to be a little long.
Yeah.
But it will be useful for people who are looking back to say, did my issue get reflected? Is what I care about reflected in what we're going to try to do? And then when we talk about strategies, the strategies are how we're going to accomplish the what. So if we can get to agreement on what the key elements of the vision should be, the discussion about what the strategy should look like should be much simpler. Do we have the appropriate strategies in place to get to that set of outcomes?
And this is also like what Bill said, our piece of like what Abraham came down the mountain with, like if something going on that like everybody is opposed to, that we would like point to and say like, this is why this isn't okay, it's because this is our vision, right? Like if they were gonna put, I don't know, a giant Walmart like in Churchton.
Not consistent with the vision. of the
Exactly,
area.
so then we would, like, this is what we would point to, correct, right?
So if that is the case, we started, after we struggled, we had, remember, 4 versions of the vision have arisen. Staff did 2, a member of this committee did a 3rd, and then staff did a 4th based on those conversations. We floated that out for a vote. A sum total of 10 people out of our committee voted.
How many's on the committee?
16, 14 now, 14.
That's pretty good.
But there was really, and when we say there was consensus for the 4th version, that meant 4 people voted for it. Couple of people who voted didn't vote for any of them because they wanted to make comments. And that was the only way you could make comments on the form. So I put together, if you remember, a content analysis sheet that described the elements. Here it is.
Yes, I love this chart.
Yeah, that's very
Thank you.
helpful.
And I asked staff to go through and flag the things that had 4. Yeah, can you get rid of that?
Was draft one, like, which was like in the thing.
It's in the handout. Yeah,
But which one? It'll say,
sorry.
because I looked through. Okay.
If you look at this, the yellow are places that 3 people agreed.
Yellow.
See, there's a little yellow bar.
Not much.
No,
Up on
it's
the
not.
screen.
It's up on the screen.
Okay,
Okay,
yellow means what?
yellow means that's where 3 people, 3 people in the voting agreed to include that content place. Green was where 4 people agreed to include that item. So the things that everybody that voted agreed upon included maritime industry importance, communities working together, health economy, equitable access, superb schools, recreational sites, healthcare, and food security.
But I'm confused because option 1 has stuff about safety, mobility, because it says create a safe multimodal transportation network.
It's a transportation network.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be safety, mobility for one?
Well, it's also in the multimodal transportation. You can see that on option 1 as well.
Sorry, I'm just asking.
No, sure, that's a fair question.
So what you just rattled off were the yellows with.
Those were the greens where 4
Okay. Greens were 4.
where 4 people, or where
Okay.
there were 4 votes. They appear in all 4 versions. And across so I misstated the way that worked.
Yeah.
In all 4 versions, those elements appeared. Areas.
Yes.
The yellow areas appeared in 3 of the 4 versions. We're talking about the vision statement.
Yeah, got it.
So the yellows are in agricultural industries importance, coastal natural shorelines, farms, small community
Whoa. Mark it. It's right up there.
farms,
I can't read that.
You can go up and
Okay,
look.
gotcha.
farms, small communities, and safety, mobility, and for walkers, bikers, cars, trucks, transit.
Limited development.
Limited development. And limited development.
I missed one. Yeah, thank you. So based on the way we have been operating, that would also have indicated a consensus more than 3/4 a vote.
Mhm.
So I'm going to propose we accept those as elements of the vision statement. And then talk about the ones that aren't there and decide whether they should be incorporated in the final draft.
So the green is not for people who voted for it.
No, it's
The
across,
green is
it's-
for elements.
it was in all 4 versions.
I would think these are votes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, no, that's
I
right.
made it confusing, more confusing than it needs to be.
Got it.
So does that work for you as an approach to kind of figure out what we talk about? And what my thought is that if there's anything on this list that is not a green or a yellow that you want to see included, you make the case for it.
I'd also like just to point out, the only thing in option 4 that's not one of these highlights is the agricultural industry importance. Every other highlight is in option 4. But option 4 does include farms, which is similar to the agriculture industry.
Yeah, not fair. Sometimes I feel like option 1, like, the way I read it, I mean, it may not have been as specifically spelled out, but to the point of being short is the thing.
It doesn't have to be short. That's where we've come around. The short and succinct is the best place for all.
Okay.
So what we're now trying to do
It spells
is
it all out.
agree on the content areas that need to be included.
So I'm appreciating the slow pace that you're doing this at. And I'm just wondering if we took a straw vote today on the 4 vision statements, just wondering what the result might be. I mean, I know what my vote is. I'm imagining others do too, and we may get an early answer.
I'm certainly willing to try that if the group is.
And if anybody wants to look at a specific option that on the paper, I do have all 4 on the slideshow.
So do you want to put them up individually, one at a time, let's read them out loud.
Sure, and we'll go from what had the most votes to the least votes. So the first one was option 4.
All right, so option 4. Region 9 will protect and enhance the quality and diversity of its before I do this. Listen for what's not there. Listen for something that is important to you that might not be reflected in this version.
Any chance you have this in hard copy and you can read it from the hard copy? If that's the case, Eric, can you put the table back up so that we can see the whole list?
Sure, we can do that, but I have to put my glasses. You know me, I'm blind. All right, we good?
Yeah.
Region 9 will protect and enhance the quality and diversity of its shorelines, forests, farms, and small communities. Conservation and restoration of the natural environment will benefit our quality of life, our maritime economy, and support a sustainable level of tourism. A limited amount of new development will be focused around existing centers of commercial activity. Each community within the region will work together to provide economic opportunities, equitable access to superb schools, regional recreational sites, healthcare, food security, and housing for all community members. Improvements to roads and trails will make it safer and easier to access our communities, whether walking, biking, driving, or on public transit. Working in partnership with government, businesses, and private individuals, the region will become more resilient to flooding and climate change. The ultimate measure of the success of this planning effort will be the conservation for future generations of the unique geographical, cultural, and historical heritage of this Chesapeake coastal community for future generations.
Can I make one wordsmithing change? We add rural like into of the Chesapeake rural coastal community. That way it adds in the, I think one of the big things we're missing is that rural, even though it kind of basically says
We did
that.
not say that earlier.
Nope. We
What
don't.
did you just say after?
So, one of the things that we don't touch upon is the fact that we're a rural community. And so, I
Can
was
that
like,
take the place of small communities?
No, that's
no,
different.
because that's different.
One size, one is focused.
I think about Edgewater and I don't think about rural.
Yeah, but I feel like the majority of the,
But it's not the region.
okay,
It's a very good point.
that is good.
And
And then we are actually describing.
I mean, it describes it, it just doesn't, but it did not get that check probably because it does not specifically state that.
And in the plan, you guys will see this summer, we do have descriptions of the communities, and so there would be a good place to say, this is a rural community versus in the vision statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, though, I will play the devil's advocate for like, some of our like funding and stuff that we sometimes could get and probably don't get because while the majority of our county is pretty, or not county, of our area, region is pretty rural because it's in Anne Arundel County, we don't get that funding. So that might be something to consider.
You know, and if you just look at Shadyside, Shadyside is not rural. It's highly developed with flooded woodlands.
Flooded woodland.
So
I
that's,
mean, I think it's developed.
that's region 4. Anything else Kathy.
Where we have shoreline, I just put slash waterways, is that, it's not just about the shoreline, but it's about the whole.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
And if we put
Yeah.
slash waterways.
Yeah, slash waterways, because then that covers for when we have to get free dredge.
Do we need to do a slash? Do we just do waterways as a separate item?
It's a separate.
Or shorelines and waterways.
Shorelines, or shorelines and
Waterways,
waterways?
yeah, like the
Okay.
shorelines are different.
Yeah.
And we have a huge issue with shorelines in Detroit,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, and we have a huge issue with water.
And the other thing I had was, quality of life and, benefit our quality of life and habitat. We don't have really. Can that go in there?
Okay, conservation and natural environment for our quality of life.
I feel like quality of life's sort of vague compared to what we already spell out.
Yeah, me too. Hard time. Just because it means that
Well,
everything.
I feel like that's supposed to be hinting at our rural, not rural.
Well,
Maybe benefit our health if you want to get more specific, benefit our region if you want to get more broad.
I would argue the opposite. And one of the things that everybody who comes to visit me says is you live in this spectacular place and
Oh,
the
yeah.
quality of living here is not like living in a city.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It is the quality of life in South County.
And
And
everybody
that's
knows
the, it is the umbrella upon, under which all of those things that make us unique fall.
And if I can add to, I think the choice we're trying to make, and the structure of that sentence is, you're starting with the conservation, restoration of the environment. That kind of do the habitat piece, and it's trying to lean into saying, the habitat benefits are not just for wildlife and nature, but it's for people and the economy as well.
But we can keep our, like I said, quality rural, not rural.
Hey,
Hey.
There's no address on the calendar, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, there
Was it
wasn't.
not?
No, I
No,
forgot to update it. I was sitting
Oh,
in
it was
the
on
email.
mine.
It was in the email.
Okay, it
I
was
was
on mine.
driving
like-
around.
all right. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm parked at one of the other buildings.
It's right behind.
I get
All
you.
right, so.
I'm just kidding. My
That's
cow had a baby too.
Oh,
girl or boy,
My cat. No,
The
girl or
fuzzy one?
boy.
it's a boy.
The fluffy one?
Yeah,
Your barn has a new skin.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
donated by 84 Lumber.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, they donated that and the labor, so it's like,
Nice.
and I went out of town and I came back and it was beautiful.
And then you got to have a baby cow.
And then I got a big.
Baby cow, cool. All right, so what is the next one in the sequence?
So this one is just the only addition so far is the and waterways is
And
the.
waterways.
It looks right on mine. I
I
don't know
had
why
one
it's
more
not.
word.
Oh, because-
Waterways, yes.
Yes,
Because I
yes,
don't refresh it,
waterways,
refresh it.
plural.
We did.
Oh, yeah, you probably have to refresh it.
Yeah, Eric's
Sorry,
great.
I had one more word was to
Okay.
suggest, it said, each community within the region will work together to provide economic opportunities, equitable access to superb schools, recreational sites, and I put activities instead of sites because is it really sites?
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
Well,
I think
maybe
we were
it's
gonna
both.
talk
It's
about
both
Yeah.
actually.
sites
both.
and
You can't do
activities.
these activities without the sites, and
Right.
it's the
Correct.
county that's developing the site.
And I guess it's then the county's job to do the activities. Can we talk about that in planning and zoning? Or not?
Well, they
not
could
what
do
we do.
recreational
Yeah,
activities on
So we
site.
would say site.
Or,
Yeah.
or how about just recreation,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
thinking.
better.
Yeah.
For school.
recreation?
I can live with that.
Yeah.
Other times when you use this phrase, we'll say recreational opportunities.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can get with
because
that.
that could also,
Agreed.
I could
And
also
one
go
was
towards
when I
like
read it,
water
Jesse,
access for all.
I took, the for future generations clause and put it at the end.
I can do that.
So are we recreational opportunities? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's,
And one more thing, sorry, but it says the ultimate measure of the success of this planning effort will be the conservation for future generations, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know why we need of this planning effort. The ultimate measure of success will be.
Yeah,
Why do we need of this planning effort?
Yeah.
Agreed.
agree. So I would say the ultimate measure of success, it will be,
of success, not the success.
right?
Okay. So that's version 4.
Maybe one more double down. No, no, okay. We did not say anything about any access to water or equity. I mean, in any of them, and I was just thinking about that.
Quality and diversity of shorelines and waterways.
Yeah,
And
Recreational
opportunities.
okay, so
That's
that does
waterways.
go in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And again, this is remember, this is a combination thing. Description of what, and when you want to know about all the details, you look down into the strategies. If we didn't have water access, I would say we have a problem. We have water access and strategies, that addresses part of it. So what was the second most frequent?
Option number 2.
So for those of you who've just joined us, the process we are doing, we identified across the 4 versions of the vision where there were common elements. We are looking at the 4 versions now, with the agreement that we are not trying to wordsmith, we are trying to make sure that the content that's important is reflected. And then we're going to take a vote on which of the 4 we're going to try that as the approach. Matt suggested, I think it's a good one. So this was the second most frequent, option 2. Region 9 is recognized for its coastal landscape. Let me go back. We have also agreed that we are not going to talk about language in terms of should it be future tense, past tense, present tense. We're only going to focus on the elements that are here, that it has the right content. Region 9 is recognized for its coastal landscape with natural shorelines, forests, farms, and small communities. The natural, historical, and cultural significance of the area is respected while it prepares for the future. Conservation and restoration of natural shorelines and forests is prioritized to maintain quality of life and support tourism. Agricultural and maritime industries will continue to be key parts of the economy and the culture of the region for residents, workers, and visitors alike. Limited new development and redevelopment is focused on existing centers of commercial activity. Investments are made to improve safety and mobility options for walkers, bicyclists, cars, trucks, and transit. Each community within the region works together to provide a healthy economy, as well as equitable access to superb schools, recreational sites, healthcare, food security, and housing for residents of all community members. I would say on any of these versions that we now go into, where we made changes on the first one, like recreational opportunities would automatically transfer, but we don't have to revisit that.
One thing as well, just for everyone's aware, option 2 has every single one of those highlights.
Well,
And it's shorter.
Looking at the whole, not the parts, I really like the tone of this. I like the emphasis on, the economy and, the culture. So, I mean, I like the parts, number 4. I like the whole of this.
the only thing, go ahead.
No, you go, and then I'll go.
The only thing I don't like about this one sentence, conservation, restoration of natural shorelines and forests is like really important. That's one of our big things, is to prioritize and maintain the quality of life and support tourism. Support tourism needs to be nicely hidden in, like it is number 4. There's a lot of people are gonna push back on that, even though.
Sustainable level of.
Yeah, it says support a sustainable level of tourism in number 4. But you have quality of life and tourism in the same sentence.
Well, if we make that change, that's to support a sustainable level, does that address it for you?
You know, I would stick the tourism,
Could we add it to that sentence? where it
Let her finish.
I would say maintain the quality of life and the natural resources or whatever, right, you know? And then agriculture, maritime industry and sustainable tourism will be key parts.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I bury it, because people are gonna, there are a lot of people that don't want tourism, even though we've already got it.
Good.
And we've had it historically, but I wouldn't put it in their face.
Nikki, you had a suggestion or comment?
Equity or equitable needs to be somewhere in this, in every statement, you're right.
Yes, and, back to what, you were saying earlier about the access to water resources.
You might not be able to, yeah.
And equitable access.
I don't know if they added it in.
No, we
Oh, it's
put
there.
it within,
Okay, it's there.
encompassed within the recreational opportunities.
Yeah, I
It's there.
didn't say this on the fourth one, but, water access is a recreational activity, but it's also different. And it gets a different kind of politics and a different kind of advocacy. And, I think we do a terrible job of it. And I think we need to do a better job of it. And I think we need to say we're gonna do a better job of it.
Yeah.
You want to add it to that list?
It needs to be somewhere,
Well, equitable access to, it would be the place for me it would fall.
yes, fine, yes,
Thank you.
to water, water resource or, to waterways.
Waterways.
So just in.
Mhm.
At the moment, I'm going to put it at the end and let staff work on
Correct.
the revision. So it would read something like, as well as equitable access, that was your concern, equitable,
Yes.
right? To superb schools, recreational opportunities, healthcare, food security, waterways, and housing for residents. And you guys can whizzle with it if this is the one way.
It's not petty what you decide. Equitable access to : to ensure that the list is all surrounding equitable.
Mhm.
Very good.
Without getting,
I like
too deep, could you just tell me real quickly how we do a poor job of
Water.
water access? I'm curious, for my edification, I'm not being argumentative.
Yeah.
Okay.
We pay, well, we used to have access to like the two beaches that were down in Edgewater, but now they charge quite a hefty fee to access those parks that they're now redeveloping. And then there's
We
not,
are-
the county.
County
Ma-
park.
Like
The
Mayo
county
Beach.
parks. So-
Yeah, I take all of mine.
No.
Just kidding, I do not.
The county now charges quite a hefty fee for the same parks that they have gone in and made some nice improvements too, but I feel like there should be some cost, I guess, breakdown if you live in this area, because like, it's just a lot for, I even, it's like, I don't think I'm gonna pay that, and I turned around. And then the only other water access that I know that we have is either to launch your boat at the, what's that place called?
Discovery Village.
Discovery Village, which is not like a place you would want to swim, and then there's the one overgrown, like park, not park area where you can ask for a code to go in and Jack Creek Park. And then that's the only other
Okay.
water access.
Franklin Point is now
Oh, sorry.
available.
Franklin
Yeah.
Point.
Just restored by
one boat ramp.
It's in Shady Side.
Shady side.
Yeah.
What's that? Franklin Point. Yeah.
Franklin Point State Park.
That's the
Right.
main gist of that, or is there other issues?
Well, I mean, the county has 530 miles of shoreline.
Okay.
Something like 98, 99, 97% of it is privately owned.
Yeah.
And we who own it, are
Not very-
preventing.
Not very good at sharing it.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Haven't been good at sharing it. And it's a class issue, it's a race issue, it's an equity issue.
Well, even coming from Annapolis, like I feel like there, I have way more access to water than I do now in Southern Maryland, where we're all a small community, and I feel like we're
Yeah.
not good at, there's no.
It supports what Matt is saying. It's a class issue, a race issue, yeah.
That was helpful, thank you.
I mean, I guess you could take your family and go fishing in Galesville, on the Galesville Pier. Would you be
Yeah.
welcome or not? I don't know.
Yeah, we have a
Oh,
pier,
yeah.
we have a pier on Cars Wharf on the Road River.
Yeah.
That the county put $1 million into fixing up. But,
If you can find it.
Yeah.
and there's
You
no
can't
park,
find it from the water.
and there's no park.
Okay. So what's the third
Well,
one?
thank you.
Is there anything else in this
Yes,
option too?
yes. This sentence, the natural, historical, and cultural
Second
significance
sentence.
of the area is respected while it prepares for the future. Oh my God.
So
He wants to
but
stop at respect.
we're not wordsmithing, we're looking at content.
Oh, with respected period, delete while it prepares for the future.
That sentence.
Is
That's
respected,
not the word.
yeah.
Delete.
So just say more about what's your problem with it?
While it prepares for the
It's
future.
a clunky sentence.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
It's
You
just
know,
awkward.
It, to me, it's not clear enough, therefore, if we're gonna wave this around 15 years from now, saying don't build a Walmart. We're prepared to do that.
Yeah,
The Walmart
yeah.
is prepared.
You could.
I feel like the
you could-
prepared
You
for-
could fix that by putting it at the front and say, as the region prepares for the future, the natural, historical, and cultural significance of the area is inspected.
But it's a given though.
Yeah.
We are preparing for the future.
But I mean, it is the
I
future.
think we need to say
Yeah.
that we're accepting that there's a future.
Yes.
And not just pretend that we're freezing the thing in, because I think a lot of my neighbors would be happy if nothing ever changed.
They would.
I think 90% of them.
Exactly, so I think we
Gotcha.
just need to point out that there is a future, it is coming, and we recognize it.
Maybe we could put it at the front,
It's
at
there,
like Region 9.
it's there, they moved it.
Oh, you went to the very,
Yeah, like
No.
maybe you could,
Where do you put it? I think
Isn't
it-
that assumed?
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but no.
But
It's there, we're.
Never assume.
It's there.
My neighbors are gonna look at this and say, oh, good, no more house.
Right.
it's simply acknowledging that we're not freezing things in amber.
The last sentence where it says, in housing for residents of all community members.
oh,
I
I think,
don't really understand why we have residents and all community members.
yeah, this is a typo that came up when we first floated these. I think it was supposed to be something like in housing for all community members.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need.
So what does that mean? What if you don't have any money? How you gonna live in South
Yeah.
County?
Division.
It's a vision, okay. You want housing for everyone.
It's that we need to be able to provide housing that everybody has access to. That there is affordable housing in the community.
But we can't agree on where it would go.
No, we've agreed.
Yeah.
It's all going on your farm.
Last year, you and. I haven't been able to go anything else. I'm going on the outs.
We said redevelopment in Churchton.
And, yeah, the, outside of the critical area, near village centers where there's, infrastructure available.
Sentence in his vision statement says limited new development and redevelopment is focused on existing centers of commercial activity.
Yeah.
So there's not much.
No, but
There has to be
but
don't
the effort
have
is,
space.
that doesn't mean none.
But sailing to what we said earlier, it'd be nice if the not much that comes in isn't all just $1 million mansions, that there's
Yes.
some diversity in type, size, and cost of.
That's
what
our
limited
goal.
amount of housing.
That's what we're striving for. So the third statement was option 1, correct? Region 9 showcases the natural, historical, and cultural significance it brings to Anne Arundel County while actively embracing the future. Agricultural and maritime industries have been and will continue to be a key component for upcoming generations of residents, workers, and visitors alike. Maintaining the region's identity while also preparing for upcoming generations is accomplished by achieving smart growth, creating a safe multimodal transportation network, and protecting the natural environment. Each community within the region works together to provide a healthy economy as well as equitable access to superb schools, recreational sites, healthcare, food security, waterways, and housing for residents of all ages and income.
I will say, I like that one.
And region, the option 1 includes everything but the bottom 5 highlights, which is
Yep.
natural shorelines, farms, small communities, limited development, and then safety mobility for walkers, cars, and trucks and transit.
I will say, I know we're not supposed to be wordsmithing, but I do like the way that we talked about agriculture and maritime industries and the emphasis that was put on it in this particular draft.
And I like the future orientation.
Yeah.
Carla,
We need a change on number 3 that I really like, and I would like to see it in all of them, which was the equitable access to list.
that's easy, but I think anything we've accepted in one,
Okay,
we would carry over
good.
to whichever one we accept if it's not the first one.
May I ask how many persons voted on number 1?
You have the chart. Again, if the most favorable option only had 4 responses.
One person voted for option 1, 2 people voted for option 2, nobody voted for option 3, 4 people voted for option 4, and 3 people voted for none so that they could make comments. So you don't know which ones they supported But you could only make comments if you voted for none of these meet my needs.
So nobody voted for option 3, so no need to
Yeah.
read it.
No, so no need to read that one.
Or one.
Or one.
No, she said it.
Only efficiency.
Why are we discussing one if only one person voted for it?
Yeah.
Do we need to
Because the
discuss
same,
one?
for the same reason, Nikki, the votes really are not representative.
Okay.
You know, 10 people voted and only 7 people voted for a specific option.
Okay.
So half of us didn't vote for an option. So that was why I brought them, was gonna bring them all up.
So
Okay.
these top 4, not 4, these 4
These are the only
are
4
up because of the categories that they hit upon in that table.
Right.
Well, we only had 4 versions of the vision statement. And in an effort to find the commonality, I made that chart
Okay, right.
to illustrate
And
what
they're in
crossed over.
order from top to bottom, these 4, because as they,
Well,
and based on this table, right?
We've
no,
been
because
reading
option
them,
4 was the first one, which is what confused me.
Yeah.
we've been reading them as the most favorable based on the votes to the least favorable based on the votes.
Based on the votes.
Based on the
Yeah.
Not
votes,
this table.
correct.
Okay.
That's where I got confused when we were
Yeah.
talking about it. And
It also happens to be option 4. Richard, option 4 also happens to have the most X's.
Yeah,
on the
okay,
column,
right.
but that's not why we ran it.
Now, back to this one that we're on, I would just say, since it says something about this can be accomplished by, this seems to be a bit more
Implementation.
implementation versus vision, but just my comment.
So we originally said we weren't gonna try to talk about the language and just about the content, and we abandoned that apparently. But let's.
No, we haven't been terrible.
Oh, you're right.
Remembering what happened here that night,
No, don't take me there.
I was here that night.
Don't take me there.
I will say though, and I respect that we're not talking about the language, but for me, this is vague. And I think that's why we had an option 2, 3, and 4, because option 1 was too vague, like while actively embracing the future, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Well, staff brought us 2 versions. We couldn't come to agreement on either one. A third one was suggested.
Right.
And then we said, well, let's see if we can create a 4th one based on the things that people said were important.
And so that would be option 4.
That's
was the
option
one.
4.
Which was the most favorable.
That was the
Yeah.
one that attempted to combine all of the thinking into a new
And
version.
now we've taken the stuff that was missing from option 4 and added it in.
Back to the other versions.
Well, but also to option 4.
So, what, and does anybody have any more comments specifically about one of these 3? Option 3 is off the table at the moment, since nobody's included it.
So option 4 has all the parts,
Option 4 has all the parts.
but it,
Did we add waterways?
You did?
but it's not the whole for me. Okay, the whole for me is 2 and 1. So even though it doesn't have all the parts. Feature in understandable ways that's not a laundry list. And both begin, particularly option 2. Sorry, option 1 talks about the future in right at the very beginning.
Oh, so maybe but maybe that just comes down to a little wordsmithing.
Good.
Cause
Good.
like, instead of saying what does option 4 have as so maybe, cause it says showcases instead of will protect.
That's very different.
Yeah,
Very different.
but those are very different fields. But don't we want to be strong about protecting our natural resources?
But let's just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, see where we stand on the 3 versions. By show of hands, all right? So we're actually gonna vote on option 4, option 1, and option 2,
Okay.
all right? Option 1 was the first one, Region 9 will protect and enhance the quality and diversity of shorelines and waterways, forests, farms, and small communities.
So that's 4, right?
That's 4.
4.
So I just want you to know the differences. Option 2 was Region 9 is recognized for its coastal landscape as it prepared with natural shorelines, forests, farms, and small communities. Option 1 is Region 9 showcases the natural history and cultural significance.
Why can't we take what we like out of each one and make a new one?
That's what we did with
number
option
four
four.
That's what four is.
That's what four
That's what
is.
four is. That's cool.
That was the whole point of creating option four. So,
Awesome.
all right, so by show of hands, how many of you would like option four? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many of you would like option two?
I definitely agree with Matt. I like the overall of this. I like the elements of the other. If we could merge those two a little bit, I think that we have it. Yeah.
The couple things that I hear coming out of this, we've had a couple times of kind of the statement about, vision of the future, the word future is used up there at the beginning. And then I've heard also that this sentence, on the economy here, that agricultural and maritime industries and sustainable tourism are continuing to keep parts of the economy and the culture of the region. That seemed to resonate a little more strongly, like it's agriculture kind of passively is mentioned as farms here, but this kind of ag economy, maritime economy, we can maybe pull that sentence into four.
Make it stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but the next two sentences, limited new development and redevelopment, commercial activity, investments are made. I mean, that's a powerful statement. Investments are made to improve safety and mobility and walkers and bikes and trucks and transit. I think that's where we want this thing to be, and I don't see that, the strength of that in four.
Yeah, here it's in four, it's
I'm with
improvements
you on that.
will make it safer and easier to access our communities, whether walking, biking. So can I ask, Michael, can you guys take what you've heard from this conversation? Try to meld these two, maybe even while we're working on strategies?
Yeah.
And bring us something before the end of the evening?
Yeah.
Great.
Oh.
So yeah, he's gonna have in the equitable
Yeah, I
access,
agree.
we didn't.
Oh,
update
yeah,
that to the-
yeah.
I want the equitable colon.
Thank you.
I agree.
Add the colon in the water.
So we're melding.
I think Michael.
Four and two.
Investment is
Four
a
and-
stronger word than improvement.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't bother me if we lost some of the items in four, just because it's a laundry list.
It is a laundry list, but a lot of stuff, but it's,
Yeah, okay,
okay.
thank you.
How long are the others, vision statements?
They're.
They're long.
They're
short.
paragraphs.
But they're paragraphs, but they're a little shorter.
Here's four.
No, the
But
other.
he means other areas,
They're
other
long.
regions.
The other region,
Yeah.
they're long.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're long
Yeah,
too.
They're typically at least a paragraph. Sometimes people get over it's 2 or 3 paragraphs.
In the future, maybe call it a value proposition.
Booklet.
It is better, it's not a vision, it's a value proposition. In the future,
Or a vivid description.
yeah.
All right. So they're gonna tackle that.
Oh, by the way, I think Anthony's vote. Anthony sent me, didn't vote, so I get 2 votes.
Sadly, that's not how that works.
There are no proxy votes.
But nice try.
If-
Nice
if-
try.
Come on, man.
We got him a Hawaiian pizza. If he doesn't show up,
He just texted over here in 20 minutes.
yeah, well, it's a little late.
He says you know where to come.
He did say so.
I got it.
Tell him it's where we used to meet,
Yes.
because he was on that.
It's the Plan 2040 room,
Right,
ghosts and all.
yeah, all of them. Actually, that was less painful than
Next.
the last one. All right, now, Eric, we're moving to strategies
Moving right along.
and yay, and it's 1 hour in. Nicely done.
So, you wanna,
No, this is yours.
all right. So I sent you guys everything ahead of time. I hope you guys had a chance to review. These were, I think, what, maybe four different sections or ideas, strategies that the group either had or wanted to revise specifically to specific strategies. So we brought these back. Everything else is, moving forward because you guys have come to a consensus on it, right? So these were the ones that were kind of left over. And the first one we heard a lot about, was make sure the protected forested wetlands. We had the draft, or sorry, we did not have a draft at the time of representing the concerns we've heard. So we went back, kind of huddled, and kind of came up with 2 different options. One's a little lengthier and one's a little more brief. So I'll let you guys read these online. Unless you guys can't read, I can read it for you.
They say two different things.
Yeah, very different.
And are we have to pick? I mean, we want
Why
both.
can't we have?
Well,
You can-
so the first option,
The status quo. It does. It doesn't say change anything.
More stringent enforcement.
Both stringent enforcement.
Okay.
and then the technical financial support for voluntary property owners. So
Yeah.
kind of the enforcement side and the voluntary side.
Mhm.
Again, you could argue that the things are in place that do this, it's just do it better. And then, yeah, the second one is kind of a little more of a rifle shot at saying, I think the code is weak in this space. For we have different regulations for a tidal wetland and a non-tidal wetland. The non-tidal wetland just has a 25-foot buffer around it. Non-tidal wetland, bigger buffer, you get overlaying other protections, it's kind of just a beefier protection. That's something I think I was hearing in some of the discussions about this, saying, hey, we talk a lot, care a lot about what's happening on the shoreline, but you step out of that critical area in the shoreline, all of a sudden it feels like these things aren't being protected. So the second one's kind of more of a rifle shot saying, county needs to look at this non-tidal wetlands and beef up your regulations about them.
Is there a word limitation? Why can't we have one sentence with everything?
Yeah,
Or why can't we?
or have two strategies.
So we can have both, and because the second one does say evaluate and consider.
Correct.
It doesn't commit to anything, but it just says look at it.
Right,
So we could
They're not-
theoretically have
They're
both,
not mutually exclusive.
correct.
correct.
I would just say increase protections. Well, who cares about evaluate and consider? Our statement should be increase protections in county code
Okay, how much?
for forested wetland.
And where?
But you always have to
Yeah.
evaluate.
And consider.
Yeah,
And
this-
that's somebody else's problem. Somebody else has to evaluate. I'm not gonna do their job. We want to see increased protections. We should say that's what we want.
I will bring back the Plan 24 discussions for a moment on this, because we went through that round and round with Plan 2040. We went into council with very strong language saying, we will do this to the code. And every time they said, no, we are the county council, we change code, you recommend that we
Yeah.
evaluate and consider things. And so we very intentionally use that kind of wording. And I know to some people it sounds weak and not strident enough, but it's,
It's politics.
most of the same people
Yeah.
sit in the council now that voted on Plan 2040.
Who has the authority?
And that's not exclusive to Anne Arundel County. A lot of master plans I've worked on in other parts of the country, the same evaluate and
Yeah.
consider.
If it's focused towards non-title, I mean, I wouldn't have known that unless you just said that. So I think since we do, I mean, if the consensus is that the tidal wetland is pretty beefy, but the other one's not, I think we should clarify that statement.
Tidal wetlands are governed by the critical area rules, aren't they?
Yeah, and there's federal overlay and state overlay when it's title.
The county doesn't have much weight in those, do they?
We do, but the bigger agencies tend to throw around more that way.
If they can say that it's only 5,000 feet of disturbance, it goes to the county indeed and walks away.
And then, so this would create or do the technical and financial support and voluntary, for the voluntary property efforts already exist? Or would this create those funds or the opportunity for those funds potentially?
I said that there are some things that exist, but they can always be expanded, improved. So for example, there's nonprofits, like we have the watershed stewards come in and invest early on. Like, they have programs where, yeah, if you call them up and say, I want help looking at my patch of woods here, and they'll come out and help you evaluate and how to manage it.
So this
But
could,
the county's forestry department will come out and help you take a look, but we don't have, we won't enforce conservation easements on small properties. We used to, like an acre of land, you just want to put that in a conservation easement and say, I just want to protect it forever. Our county used to be able to take those easements, now we don't. So this kind of wraps into ideas like that.
so it could create opportunities for more funding, more programs.
I think that's very needed in
Yeah.
the future, because we just said that 95% of the shoreline is privately owned, and people are gonna be dealing with a lot of changes over the next, coming years, and it's gonna affect us all if certain properties aren't doing what they should with their shoreline.
And it goes back to our vision,
Back to what?
that goes to vision of creating a climate smart.
So we're back to choosing one or two?
Or three for both.
Both.
Yeah.
So is there a reason we can't do both?
No, we're just giving you options.
So I'd like to have both.
Yeah,
They're different things.
they are.
Or
And.
Yeah. So bad. Well done.
Yep.
Not a non-disclosure agreement.
Indeed.
Yes, not a non-
We're all
NDA
gonna
up
be
there.
signed.
Yeah, I'll fix that later. So, the next one, I'll let Mike kind of touch base. I think he'll talk about this. He did work on this one.
This one we've talked about a couple times. It has come up, and it's this question about, how to frame our recommendation relative to solar on ag. And, this group has expressed, pretty strong opinions saying, hey, we don't want to see this, but also we do, there haven't, those of you who've spoken up saying, but solar is an important, renewable energy is an important part of the future of this county. So, the draft that we had proposed you guys before as kind of a way to synthesize that was this one that's at the April draft strategy. Conduct a study to evaluate the potential for solar and other forms of renewable energy in Region 9 and provide recommendations to reforms to county code and policies to balance meeting the goals of clean energy and ag preservation. And then I think one of our meetings after that, a comment was made saying, hey, is that not strong enough about being pro-ag conservation? So we took the word balance out of the revision and just said, hey, there are two goals, and kind of focus that the study should really focus on the developed land, landfills, brownfields. As basically kind of saying, do your study to look at where there are options outside of farms that you can put solar to meet the demands of the future, kind of inherently putting farms at the end, at the bottom of that priority list, without explicitly saying,
No farms.
No farms.
yeah, no solar on farms. So,
And that's gonna be an
I
issue.
think you should say no solar.
yeah, right. There's gonna be a difference of opinion.
Yeah, I'd like to have solar on every farm. Every farmer who wants it should be able to build. So, I mean,
Well, then you're not farming.
Yeah.
And then you're not
Yeah.
farming.
so.
Your farm is the sun.
Your lights
and
might
what's
turn
wrong
on,
with-
but
and
no
what's
food
wrong
on the
with that?
table.
Well, there's
Yeah.
lots
That
of
makes
farms.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
There's already like development plans to like destroy so
So we're
many
gonna
acres.
protect
And every,
swampland, but we're gonna put solar panels on good farmland.
yeah,
Yeah.
that produces
That's
food.
not in keeping with
And it-
this wonderful cultural,
Yeah.
beautiful area.
I mean,
of
that doesn't
reaching
mean that farmers
Someone wants
can't put solar panels on
Yeah,
the
if they
barn
want
and
it.
run but not like all over their.
Not a solar array.
Not
Yeah,
15
every
acres.
study with the solar panel over productive land has shown that the soil degradation is more than if you chemicalize and burn it off. So like if you're looking to like preserve the land, that destroys the land.
It does. Solar on parking lots.
Yeah.
South River
Yes.
High School,
Yeah.
solar on the parking lot.
Every-
Solar and
Like a
electric on the
gigantic
parking lot,
dump
like it
of
serves.
land.
Surf is
Solar-
a great
wait.
example, yeah.
Yeah, solar on top of the tractors.
So what do we think of the potential revision?
More aggressive.
I like more aggressive.
More aggressive. And I tell you, this is gonna be much worse when they start doing Lothian. Yeah, and those farms, because those farms are underneath the transmission lines.
Yeah.
So they're just sitting ducks.
And don't forget, like, Cirque has already publicly come out, they're gonna make the entire Smithsonian at net zero with the property of Cirque, so like, we're getting a large solar
won't see it.
field already.
compared to what we
You
need,
won't see it.
compared to what we need as a community and as a country, that's CERC being self-sufficient is nice, and we need much, much more than we have.
Put it on building tops. Put it everywhere where you can put it before you put it on farmland. The reason
Food
why
insecurity
farmland
is
is
a bigger
attractive
issue.
is because it's the easiest and the cheapest place for them to do it. That's why it's attractive. Is it the best? Absolutely not.
Well, so my understanding is more than half of the farms in the county are really not self-sufficient. They're not supporting their owners with the produce and products. And if I were owning one of those farms, I'd want a different choice.
How much do you think they're gonna make on solar?
I don't know.
They're not gonna own it. They're
Yeah.
gonna rent it out.
I
Yeah,
was with every solar company in the county, and most of those proposing solar on farms this morning. And they don't care about anything landscape, they're just there for the dollars.
Absolutely.
So like if you lease a chunk of land, they're gonna make sure that the farmer has no say on what it looks like, no say on the landscape. They're just there to make a dollar, and the farmer makes maybe $200 more an acre.
I worked at the county council on this in the fall, and there are ways to elevate the solar panels, ways to non-compact the soil underneath, ways to grow pollinators, ways to make it grazable underneath
Yeah,
all of these things.
all of
so
those
that-
studies have
Let me finish,
failed.
please. So that when the solar panels have exhausted, or they want to take them down, the land is immediately arable. It doesn't destroy, doesn't have to
Who says,
destroy the land.
who says, the solar panel
Who says
people?
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, these were
There's
studies in
two-
Europe and
there's
the UK.
There's two areas of agrivoltaic studies right now. The one in Colorado has already failed. There's another one in North Carolina that is in the process of failing. They're the ones claiming that the soil is getting rich and better because it's resting, but they just proved that the microbiology went to 1/3 of what it originally. And that was originally a conventional farm.
So this is a fascinating conversation, but we're kind of getting off track.
Let's take two.
The question is, what is the change we want?
We want it on landfills, rooftops, anywhere else but fields right now. That would be your last choice.
So should we vote on the revision?
It's
What
all,
is the revision?
this is
The revision,
the second
the
bottom.
second,
There, it adds, undeveloped land, landfills and brownfields.
Undeveloped land.
And one thing I like to remember or remind everybody that we've talked about before, it's okay not to reach a consensus as well. And it's okay, if the group is also interested, we could write this as part of the text of the document rather than a strategy stating that the SAC discussed this, but ultimately could not come up with a consensus.
I think we can have a strategy.
No, I'm just saying, if something were to happen, that's an okay option.
Yeah, I'll concede this. I think it's a mistake for the future, but, I'll concede this.
We'll keep you posted on whether there's any success.
The Naval Academy is building it, they're destroying the Naval Academy dairy. That entire 9,000 acres is about to become a solar farm. So if you're worried about solar, like, the federal government's gonna force it. So why force private owners to destroy land that's productive?
It's not forcing, it's enabling, it's allowing a
Allowing.
farmer
No.
who's not making enough money on her farm to be able to
Kate,
make
you
a
did
difference.
such a great job wrapping this up.
hey, yeah.
I know we
so much-
started.
So much for,
So,
one
Sorry.
more time.
I'm very passionate about it, so.
And we appreciate you both
So
very
is,
much.
so
Thank
is
you for your
Matt and so is VK.
Take the
Yeah.
risk.
So this strategy,
Take the-
what this Anne Arundel County,
This is for us in
Region
Region 9.
9.
Region 9.
Conduct a study to
Conduct a
evaluate for solar and other forms of renewable energy on developed land, landfills and brownfields.
Take it.
I like it.
Just pointing out is conducting a study. We're not building anything.
Yes, and we're back to that's the only way we can put it in
You eliminate
and get it
this.
accepted.
No, just pointing
Yeah.
out that it's a study we're talking
Right.
about. Not the actual putting up solar.
So it sounds like there's a consensus for the bottom.
On this version, this new strategy.
On the potential revision, yes.
Yeah, anybody opposed?
Is anybody opposed?
Anybody opposed?
I just had a question on the other forms
All right, moving on.
of renewal.
Oh,
Yes, guys.
sorry,
I
Kathy.
just had a question on the other forms of renewable energy. Is that like windmills or what?
There's wind and biofuels. Biofuels are a viable option for
Biofuels.
South County, especially.
And would all that be done on developed land, landfills and brownfields?
Yeah.
Right,
Not,
the
not,
study would
Study.
determine whether, the study would determine whether or not it's feasible.
but those are the places where all the other renewables would be.
All of that would be,
located. Okay, thank you, that's all.
so we are in consensus, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
a-
what I
there's a
heard.
biofuel
They were gonna put a big solar farm.
Uh,
and that- well, just a second, and this historic farm on the way to the dump. Are they not gonna put that into all of the solar yet?
What?
Oh, the county property,
Yeah,
that where the 4-H farm is?
yes.
Does that impact our strategy?
It does not.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
So the big
So for
issue
the
is.
next strategy.
Yes. Moving on.
So moving on, the next issue the next issue that we've heard a lot from the SAC is, speeding and reckless driving, especially on the windy curvy roads. The big issue from a planning standpoint is a lot of that is enforcement based. A lot of it's gotta be enforcement, and it's hard to plan for that, but there are some things we can do to potentially help with resulting in a safer driving environment. And one of those is essentially creating an education and enforcement campaign. Yeah, like, for example, click it or ticket. There's also I forget the one, it escaped my head, but yeah, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. So stuff like that. And one thing that we created, it was very similar to a lot of Vision Zero plans throughout the country, is creating this education and enforcement campaign, but specific to South County.
Yes.
Yes.
Just bear in mind, and I'm not against this, just bear in mind, that brings in issues of equity. Whether or not I drive fast versus you, they're stopping me and not you. So just bear that in mind when we think of strategy.
We want them to stop everybody.
But they won't.
That are being broken. So,
Just bear that in mind. When we use the word enforcement,
Equitably applied.
Yeah, can we?
We need like a timer, so if you hit it at a certain speed, it automatically sends a missile and takes out that.
Certainly the BMW motorcycle that passed me at 100 miles an hour on Muddy Creek this morning.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah, that goes right.
Holy shit,
You know, so.
Can't wait to see.
You
On
want
this
to
issue,
speed?
may I
You
ask
wanna
a
play
question
Russian roulette?
regarding?
Go
the
ahead,
safety?
yeah.
How is that?
Equitably applied.
He's got a question.
Yeah, I like that.
Forgive me if it's in there somewhere. Is there a
It's in the wrong
strategy
place.
to enhance the safety of roads? Not enforce what we have
It should,
But
equity
change-
should be on enforcement there.
and widen
Okay,
and put investment in infrastructure for roads.
Thank you.
Make them safer. And I don't agree with the argument if you have a nice road, they go faster. That's-
We have other strategies in the document about shoulders and roadway safety and design.
and drainage safety.
This was speaking more about like the speeding, speedless driving.
So it's in there.
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Equitably enforced,
It's enforcement, it's more of a.
just
Well, but
equitably enforced.
like really get stuff out there? They're doing like an education campaign, like.
maybe they're not, but I think they got it.
Don't you focus
I
on
got
facilities.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I feel like they don't, like, it might not necessarily.
doesn't read right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you rewrite it, Nikki?
A campaign equitably. An education campaign equitably.
It is still, it's enforcement, it's not enforced. It's an enforcement campaign.
Oh my God, that's what I meant.
Equitable and
Enforcement.
we can play with the equity
yes.
last.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do it offline.
Yeah.
So we will add that in there and make it flow better.
Concept
But
is
get,
important.
the point is equitable enforcement. We got that.
So Richard, you were talking about the quality of the roads. There were two conversations going on. Michael, you were saying that that issue is addressed other places in the strategies, correct?
Yeah, think about road shoulders and design the roads to make it more safe, is addressed in other strategy. We identify specific sections of roadway that we prioritize in this discussion.
We have a section of major roadway improvements
Right.
Thanks, Liz.
with a bunch of strategies under it.
Confirm.
Yes.
Okay, it's our vision. No, my comment was, but it's our vision, it's our strategy, so I'll leave it. But I'm saying I'm leaving, but I'm going to make it anyway. It's dependent on law enforcement, and a number of law enforcement agencies are stepping away from a lot of vehicular enforcements. So again, you're suggesting this, but law enforcement will have a part to play, and I'm not sure how the county is going to ensure that they do their jobs, which they're stepping away from.
So should we put Everett in the strategies? Hold Everett accountable?
He's not a full force. They only do courts and.
He's only.
Well, and that is a very good point, but just as a reminder, enforcement can mean different things. It can mean a squad car or could mean those not missiles, but radars, yeah.
Or you can.
But yeah, for sure, absolutely. There are multiple ways to enforce this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Missiles would work.
But then isn't a lot of it going to come down to that education piece?
Which helps, yeah.
Have you seen some of these guys driving these trucks? You want to stop them and tell them to slow their truck down? I don't.
But hey, camera will tell.
Not unless you had 3 guys with shotguns.
I had a.
We're
full
not
water-
blowing up anyone.
I had a full water truck yesterday, almost run me off of, Buddy Creek south of Galesville.
That happened in town.
I mean, it was like this close.
It's crazy. Anthony, there is Hawaiian pizza with your name on it. It's a little cold
It
by
is.
now, but
And it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Hawaiian pizza is everywhere?
No,
Crazy driving.
crazy people drive.
All right, so moving along.
So yeah, this was another one we talked about, in April. We actually presented a strategy to you all. But again, this focuses more on the workforce training of marine and agricultural. So I'll let you guys read that for a minute.
I like that. Agree.
So I like moving agriculture second. The only point, and part of only what you have to say about this. We all know what it takes to be a marine electronic or marine engineer. It's a big deal. They gotta go to school. It's very complicated. So is farming. And if you think it's some dumb cluck on a tractor riding around, that is not the farming of the future or even today. So.
Don't be smart, you'll build solar panels.
He's not a farmer.
University of Maryland has a really good farm program, future harvest, and there's lots of things that are teaching people to farm in the new, much more complicated. How are you gonna put drone fertilizer on your property?
Yeah.
Get real complicated.
But I don't understand your point, BK. This
It's
doesn't-
way beyond 4-H and FFA, I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
but I don't know, because have you been, again, to my point, is it Hartford County or, I think it's Hartford County, there, if you ever get the chance, you should go look at their 4-H FFA program up there, because it is spectacular, they're teaching at a college level.
That's
Yeah.
good.
The
But
only-
we're
the
expanding
only thing
it
is
to
I don't
adult
like
education also
calling out
everywhere.
specific programs,
Oh, yeah.
cause like one, that's like
That I
county
agree
agency
with.
endorsing
Yeah,
a specific way, cause those are all private entities. 4-H is sort of under USDA,
So including.
but those are historically extremely exclusive too.
You want to remove the
So
4-H and
including
FFA?
school programs and adult education and mentorship programs.
For agriculture and maritime.
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like we're missing the mark a little bit in our.
So you're just suggesting taking those specific references out.
In just focusing on agricultural education programs and.
Do that for agriculture.
Cause I'm technically one of those.
Yes,
Right.
that's why we put the,
Well,
yeah, mentorship and.
all I cared about was making sure that we were spending more money here, creating an opportunity to spend more money.
So we're taking agriculture
What?
out?
No.
No, leaving it in.
This is Maryland.
We're separating it, because the strategy the strategy from the April draft there kind of evolved over time. It began with kind of focus on training around maritime trades. And then we said, oh, there's also need for ag. So we said, okay, we put the word ag in there, and I said, well, that seems too mashed together. Let's pull ag out as separate. So we'll have one that speaks to maritime trades training and one that speaks to agricultural
Yes.
So
training.
my question still, Michael, is the first one is ag stuck in the middle of maritime.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do that, you probably need to explore the potential, a separate strategies, less like support expansion of.
Well, ag's gonna get removed.
out.
Thank you, that was what I was asking, and I
Go
heard.
ahead and put a straight through in it. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Honey, sweetheart.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Like, do it.
So this is basically specific to workforce training, so I will stop.
Nikki, were you gonna say something?
A rule. After we say yes to, are we in agreement, no one is allowed to add anything.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, luckily for you guys, there's only one left, and it's revisiting the vision 4.6.
So I had a question before we go there.
Oh, we're not done.
I'm sorry.
DK had something to say,
Me too.
and
Well, I was just gonna mention, the small side, which I've made before, is training is very, very important for both maritime and agriculture. But to be a maritime wrench puller, I just need to buy some wrenches, and the company may give me wrenches. To be a farmer, you gotta buy a tractor and a combine and the land. and fencing
I would
and
disagree.
everything else.
Yeah, I would disagree with that, with,
I've
as a
gone
husband
with
with.
a bunch of wrenches on my boat,
Oh.
and no,
Yeah.
I'm paying $125 an hour for somebody
As
to
a-
do it.
Yeah,
It's
my
a
husband-
lot more than just a bunch of wrenches.
Well, I know, I'm joking, I understand that.
I was like, my husband's a
Alright.
marine technologist.
So can
No, I
we
understand,
focus on
but
the general
so is farming.
strategies?
Huh?
My question to you guys is, you sent us this
Mhm.
and flagged
Yeah, the yellow
changes
ones, I thought-
in yellow.
So no, the yellow is, I sent an initial, I sent an initial list. But I forgot some, and the ones I forgot off that list are highlighted in yellow. Those have already been discussed and reviewed by the group.
Okay, so we're done with this. We don't
Correct.
have to revisit.
Correct, unless you want to, but correct.
Not especially, no, I just
No.
want to make sure we're not missing.
No, they've already been included and discussed.
Alright. Okay, so that means we have a do you need a little break or are you ready to show us something?
Let's go ahead and go next slide.
All right,
Uh-oh.
So.
Can we minimize the?
do you want me to read it? Is it hard to read?
It
Now
was
it is.
better the other way.
There we go.
Part of it was cut off, I was trying to scoot up a little bit.
Let's give you a moment to read it. See what you think.
I mean, by the way.
Moving yourself. There's an arrow. You tap.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Move it up. Name of the-
Oh.
It's a melding.
Never mind.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Not quite, but close.
Did we ditch the word redevelopment?
That's fine.
There's new development, but not,
Yeah, limited amount of new development.
but not redevelopment.
Can you do new/read?
Redevelopment.
Can we just have like another minute and a half before we start editing?
Oh, sorry.
No, I want to do it now.
Then you can come back.
I like it. Good job.
All right, comments.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with,
Did we want
what you
to
said,
include redevelopment?
development,
Yeah.
redevelopment, I think we do.
A limited amount of new development and new and
With a focus on redevelopment.
With a focus on
Redevelopment.
redevelopment.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's what we really want to focus on is redevelopment, not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And limit.
using what we have already,
That's right.
fixing it up.
So focus on redevelopment in existing centers of commercial activity. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is literally gonna be a book.
So strike the next will be focused and
Yeah.
cement it in.
And don't keep him. Somebody,
yes.
Delete that around.
So in the,
Yes.
can you make it bigger a little bit? No, yeah. Conservation and restoration of natural shorelines and forests are prioritized.
Oh, yeah.
Probably one time, which conservation is. So, yeah, now it's all.
We can strengthen with, some focused. Whatever.
So any other questions or edits? All in favor of this version, clap for the people who rewrote it. Nicely done, guys.
So. What's gonna be the tagline on the bumper stickers we're all gonna get?
This is it right here.
Chesapeake coastal community for future generations.
The best place for all.
The tagline is the county's vision statement.
Best
That's
place
right,
for
best
all.
place for all.
That's a
Speaking
tagline.
of,
I do like
Like-
a.
And we're reclaiming it.
what does it take to get the for all sign as you come across from Calvert County
That's a great question.
into Anne Arundel County in North Beach? Because it's just, welcome to Anne Arundel County, the best place.
Maybe,
Oh,
maybe you got stolen?
Somebody
Yeah,
said
that's
that.
the
That's
bottom
it,
person.
the best place.
The best place.
Probably some drunk person left and just like.
The sign
Literally saw
department
kid took a sign now.
at the county is actually pretty responsible.
So, since we've wrapped up the conversation topic tonight, I just want to personally say thank you all. I know it's been a heavy lift. And we have one meeting left. So
I'm sorry, Eric, do we need to take questions if there's anybody online?
there's nobody online. I mean, let me confirm, it wasn't my line manager.
Hey, there's still time.
Yeah, no one's online. So
Don't change it.
one thing, we will have a final meeting in August. It's looking like August 22nd, if that's good with the group. And if you can't make it, or ideally we can hammer it out right now and come up with the date. But if,
I can't think of it.
it's fine.
I can do that.
So,
August 22nd is a Thursday.
no, I'm saying I can't even think about this.
That's a we've been meeting Thursday.
Yeah, so we try to keep it the same day.
I'm available.
So
Only thing going on.
so what the next big piece of this process is starting on hopefully Monday, is we're sending out the preliminary draft zoning for a public review. I'll send everybody a link once it's live, and then you guys can share it out to your organizations, your groups, your friends, your neighbors. Highly encourage you to pass that out, get as much information as we can. Because the more data we have and more comments we receive from people, the more we can use that to show county council what the community thinks, right? And that's very helpful. It's very informative, and it goes a long way. So I will send you all that. And then after we get comments back, after we see any potentially new requests or anything to that nature, staff will review it. We'll send it out to you guys with as much time as you guys can to review it. And then August 22nd, we'll meet, hopefully have a final stamp of approval, and then send this to the planning advisory board. And then hopefully they'll put a stamp of approval on it and send it to county council. And we'll start that process.
And you will, to the extent we can, like some of us, to be present at planning advisory board when we are discussed, and also county council. So you'll keep us apprised of the dates when those things are happening.
Absolutely.
And you sent out the 4 open house dates today, right?
Yeah, so
Yesterday.
we have June 20th and July 8th. Those will be our open houses. I think the June 20th is at the Southern District Police Station. And July 8th is at the Deal Library. It's during the working day. We have actually, we're really trying to push that out as well. That's a good opportunity for people who don't necessarily feel comfortable with computers, to see it in person. We're also always available by phone and email. If people have questions, let them know they can call us at any time. We try to be as responsive as possible. And we do our best to get back to people within a day or two at most.
Yeah, just a comment too, on those drop-in sessions, we'll literally be there with like the big printed maps that you guys saw when we were talking about zoning. We'll have those up on posters so people can walk up and look at their neighborhood, see any changes that are proposed, and talk to us specifically about, any questions they have. It's not a come hear a presentation, it's just come talk one-on-one, because these issues are always so property specific, neighborhood specific, that we want to give people the opportunity to just talk to staff one-on-one and say, what's happening here? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
And this is where we went through all of the people who had submitted the zoning, and we voted yes or no
Yes.
to support what the county had said, okay.
Correct.
Yeah, and so the public will see, planning and zoning's recommendations and the stakeholder advisory committee's recommendations when they go on this website and click on a property. And then they'll be able to comment themselves and say, I agree, I disagree.
And as I recall, we had almost 100% agreement, is that true?
Yeah.
4 or 5.
There's a couple, if you look at the zoning report, there are a couple places where we had no consensus, but not many.
But there was generally pretty strong alignment.
OPZ has been trying to eliminate split zoning. having been through it here and watched what happened in Region 4, are you gonna step away from that, or are you gonna continue fighting that fight?
We're still continuing on with, there are some, it's not a one size fits all. So there are certain areas that, maybe warrant split zone over others, but ideally we try to get away from the split zoning as much as possible. And we're gonna continue.
From where we stand, it's important for us to kind of have principles that way we're treating all properties the same, kind of giving everyone, you have the same criteria, the same approach. There's always case by case situations, as Eric said, and that's a space, I think actually where, as the process is laid out in the big picture, that's a better space for council to say, hey, this is unique, this is different, we're gonna treat it differently. Than for us, because then it looks like planning and zoning is playing favorites, and like, we want to be seen as being fair and equitable to everybody, making sure that our decisions are not capricious.
We approved some split zoning, haven't we?
They're
Yeah.
good. They're
Yes,
coming.
That's the right thing to do, I thought.
But, and to be fair, those areas were different from what I've experienced in the Region 4, so in my opinion. So,
So do we don't know where we will meet in August.
no, ideally somewhere in region, in the region. is
That'd be
the- is the
good.
hope. So,
If you meet in my barn, if you don't mind swearing.
It's got nice dining on it.
but we had an extreme cold at
So
the
that date
Southern
is
District.
confirmed, that date is,
If that's up to you guys, can we all make the 22nd?
Yeah, you can meet in
Yes.
my barn.
I'm not
Yeah,
available.
well,
I am-
you're gonna be there, because you're gonna be at the county fair,
Oh,
I'm not
or
available.
the state fair.
Well, if you're not,
well, it's in-
we can. We can look at a couple dates and we can send some information to everybody, because ideally, it's also gonna be a celebration of you guys as well, is the plan, like kind of just, it's supposed to be a positive last meeting, right? We wanna make sure as many people there as possible.
So what happens during?
So we should have it at the barn,
Yeah, just come to my barn.
with the direct decoration,
Yeah, it's fine.
it's a fiesta.
It's pretty now, so,
There we go,
and I have big ass fans.
there you go.
Okay.
That's the brand.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
just,
know, I got you.
I didn't just swear.
Yeah, I think all of that. So does that, Nikki, did you guys rule out the 29th from the staff standpoint?
Oh, yeah, well, so one thing too, we are having an August meeting and we do have a tight window in September where the meetings for planning advisory board are scheduled, but they're early September. We have to make sure there's enough time for staff to turn around anything that you guys may suggest differently.
Being available.
Not for me.
So, but, yeah, I think,
What about the first?
I think the first was another
The
option.
first was their other option.
Yeah, I'm done.
August 1st,
I'm done.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So then we'll create a Google poll or something. We'll figure it out and we'll do it next week, send it out to you guys. And just, we want to make sure as many people as possible are there.
Yeah, I won't be
Yeah.
there on it.
Okay.
Yeah, my farm's not available. But the 22nd.
You got it.
Sorry.
Hey, we'll be down really in Edgewater.
I just want it to be someplace where I can bring champagne.
Or the barn.
It can't be.
I have a bunch of,
Can't be
I don't
county
drink, so if you
That's
want
right.
to
Counting for-
come on over.
Or are we gonna do a toast, a send off,
Or pour it over somebody's head or.
hit somebody with a cork?
So that's all we had.
Thank you,
Wow.
everyone.
That's
Really
it?
good work.
Good meeting.
Thank you.
There does,
Oh, gosh, what now?
I would like to motion to adjourn.
Are you gonna beat them up?
Can we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, like-
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
We are
Yeah,
adjourned.
Big thank you to the staff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good work.
And the cake.
Yes, and Carrie, absolutely.
The statue